Okay, so we're doing the calculating the mean exercise. So if you open your record portal, you should get this preloaded code and this problem statement here. So what this task is asking us to do is to pass this test, you will need to have a variable called mean. This variable will be set equal to the mean for the dataset. You should print the value of the mean for your own benefit. Okay, so we'll print the value of the variable just to make sure that to force us to name the variable mean and not some kind of other name that will cause our program to crash. So we know that we calculate the mean of the data set by adding all the data points in the set together and then dividing by the total number of data points. You should make use of this bit of code here, and equals length of x and x, as denoted by this line here, is just this data set imported through this command here, and that's all it is. So x now takes on the value of all these data points. So now what we want to do is, since the sample mean depends on two values, and those are the number of data points and the sum of those data points. So we need to define two variables. One of them is the sum, and we'll set that equal to 0. Be careful and do not write sum like this, because sum in Python is actually a keyword. So it will think that this is the declaration of sum, which is a keyword in Python, and that will just ruin your program. So be careful of that and leave it something else. So we initialize the sum equal to 0, and then we will add each of the data points in x as we go along. And the way we do that is we loop for I in range, and so we're looping for I in the range of the length of the dataset. And for every iteration, we want to change the sum by adding to it the value of the next data point in x. X, remember, is the data set, so we want to add to it the next data point in the set. So after we've done that, we define our variable, the mean, because now we have the sum. We just need to calculate the mean, and we do that by dividing the sum, which we have named sigma, by the length of the data set, or the number of data points, which we've called n. And if you run these tests, you should get the correct value. You do. One more thing I'd like to add is when you're doing for loops, it's okay to, instead of looping for a certain range, you can loop for I in a list. So instead of doing for I in range something and then doing and then adding the ith index of that list, you can instead loop for I in x, so that for every iteration I takes on the next value in x. So it takes on the next value in the actual data set. So it takes on this value, and then in the next iteration it takes on this value, and so on. This gives you the same result. Just make sure that when you use this notation, you change the lines in which you add the next data point in x. So this is the traditional way for I in range, and then you can do this as well, and it should run the same. Yeah. So it runs the test one final time. and there you go.